Please come in for us to start off our high-level session. Please come in. We welcome you in. Just some music as we wait for a few minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, delegates. Good morning, honorable guests. May we arise for the national anthem as we begin this high-level opening ceremony. Thank you.
Mungu nguvu yetu,
The East African anthem.
Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
With your permission, please remain standing, honorable delegates. We have witnessed 2 days of amazing conversations, with apologies of all of us caught up in a lot of what has been happening. We know we are a young and vibrant democracy. May I request that we give a moment of silence for lives lost yesterday as we take off this high-level ceremony. A moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. May you take your seats, please. And welcome once more to day 3 of these amazing conversations on harnessing artificial intelligence for sustainable development in Eastern Africa, governance, ethics, capacities, and partnerships. What a robust space it has been for the Eastern African region, discussing possibilities, discussing innovations, discussing networking, discussing strengthening the capacities of the region in building our AI prowess. Indeed, the last 2 days have been quite promising in what the region has in store in terms of AI, the kind of leadership the region can take, the futuristic aspect of each and every country represented, and the fact that the Eastern African region is not going to be left behind when it comes to their prowess in artificial intelligence. And with that, may I welcome now Dr. James Njogu, the Acting Secretary General of the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO, to take us through the start of this high-level opening ceremony. Welcome, Dr. Njogu.
Thank you very much. Cabinet Secretary for Education, Kenya, Honorable Ezekiel Machogu, Ministers for Education and Ministers for ICT from Comoros, Uganda, Somalia, Seychelles, Southern Sudan, and the representative of the Minister from Mauritius, Assistant Director General, Social and Human Sciences, representative of East Africa Community, His Excellency Amani Abu Zaid, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, African Union Commission, who will participate online, Ambassador Professor Peter Ngure, Permanent Delegation for Kenya, Director Regional Office for Eastern Africa, Alexander Makarikagis. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mine is short, is basically to invite the speakers for this session, and this is the opening session. And right away, without taking any time, I'll invite the first speaker, who is from UNESCO, and that is none other than Gabriela Ramos, Assistant Director General for Social and Human Sciences. Let us welcome her with applause. Welcome, ADG. You have participated all through in the event. I'll take the floor and make your opening remark. Thank you.
Thank you so much, our dear National Commission, James, Minister Mashogu, Cabinet Secretary for Education, our dear Ambassador Angore, and ministers from Seychelles, Mauritius, South Sudan, Uganda, and Comoros. I will start by saying, first and foremost, UNESCO is with Africa. UNESCO wants to work with Africa, and UNESCO wants to support Africa. And that's why you might have noticed that even though I'm not African, I'm Mexican, I come dressed as African. So I'm very happy to be in this fantastic fashion, because Africa is also the land of fantastic fashion, and I have seen it. Let me start also by saying Abari Asu Buhi. This is also to say something that we have been hearing all day long during the last 3 fantastic days, which is that the African languages, the African culture, the African mindset, the African ways of life should be represented in the developments of artificial intelligence. And while AI promises innovation, we need to ensure that it serves our societies, that it represents us well. And we have been exchanging on how to bring these things together in this Eastern African region that we have brought together with the fantastic support of the Kenyan government and the leadership that we are seeing here. We know that Africa is not lagging behind on artificial intelligence, above all on the conversations on how do we take it forward. We know that there are many challenges in terms of connectivity, in terms of infrastructures, in terms of skills, but what we have heard also during the past 2 days is that Africa has a very clear voice of how they want to take forward this conversation, and also because right now, everybody's talking about artificial intelligence. We have the Digital Compact in the UN in New York in September. We have the G20, the G7, we have the European Union, you just approved the African AI strategy of the African Union, and therefore it's very important that the voices of Africa, of how you want to get this technological revolution to serve your interest, is heard loud and clear. And that's why this forum, the Air5 Forum, with the support of Kenya, could not be timelier, because we are delivering also the very first readiness assessment report I will deliver to the Minister of Kenya, but we will be working with all the ministers present here to advance the readiness assessment, to know where countries are and how do we do to advance investments. And I also want to recognize our experts that have been working really hard on the many readiness assessment methodology that we're doing, because this is the tool to implement the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence that members, again, approved in UNESCO as the first, and I would say the only, international consensus to align artificial intelligence with human rights, with human dignity, with sustainability, and as I said, with our cultural traditions. With the recent adoption of the African Union Continental Strategy on AI, the Global Digital Compact negotiations, all the action summits on AI that we are looking at after, and the UNESCO policy dialogue on AI that we are going to have tomorrow, is essential that we also talk about the governance of AI. It's not only how to push the technology in the frontier that we have it, but how do we use it in education? And I know that Minister here is looking at how to frame it ethically. And Kenya is uniquely positioned to become a regional leader on AI. The country has a strong and vibrant digital environment. We heard it yesterday also with the Kensa investments and with the Savannah Silicon Valley. And we ICT services significantly contributing to Kenya's GDP. Kenya ranks 24 globally on ICT services and exports, with this increasing more than 11% in 2023. The Open Data Initiative, that is also something that Kenya is advancing by the ICT Authority, shows that this is an element that is very important to provide citizens and businesses with this crucial element, the data element for R&D and AI models. And we know also that Africa has something that many other continents don't have, which is its young population. And I'm glad that we took the minute to celebrate the lives that were lost. But at the end, this is telling us that we need to move to support the young people, to give them the options, and actually, as our director for the regional office just said, to leapfrog, to use these technologies to leapfrog development and to advance faster to provide solutions that our societies are really requesting. The RAM equips UNESCO with unique substance that no other organization has. We are doing readiness assessment methodologies in 50 countries around the world, 22 African countries, because Africa is a priority for UNESCO, including 5 countries in Eastern Africa. Mauritius, Rwanda, Kenya are in the process completed. Ethiopia and Tanzania were about to start. And we have here the ministers that will accompany us that will be working also very closely with us. And as I said, it's not only about the infrastructure. Of course, infrastructure, skills, investment are important, but also what is the governance that we need to put in place for AI to deliver on people. We will be following on the RAMs because the RAMs are just pictures of where countries are, but we need to implement them, and we need to also call for investors, for donor countries, for development cooperation, so that they can use this compass that we have with the RAMs to invest and to support and to advance in this technological ladder. We will continue working with you, not only in this seminal process that we're launching here in Kenya with the Eastern region, but also with all of our experts. The Women for Ethical AI Network and the Business Council, the African chapter was launched here yesterday. And I have to tell you, Minister, what is very interesting is that it's not only that we do the RAMs, we do it with your experts. And this is another element that UNESCO is pursuing. We don't want to come with experts from the global north or from universities, or we want to identify the talents that all of your countries have. Because every single country, no matter what level of development they have, you have talents. And those talents need to be nurtured and need to be brought forward to advance on the thinking of how to do the governance and the deployment of artificial intelligence. And this has given us also something super important. As I mentioned, tomorrow in Paris, we're going to have a policy dialogue, bringing all the countries that are doing the readiness assessment. And what is amazing is that you have experts, I see many here, that accompany us from all over the world. And therefore, this is great, because it's not only to listen to those countries that are super advanced, but to have our experts also putting the framing right. And as we learn in different sessions, East African countries are leapfrogging into the future of AI, and this is exactly what we want to push with our work with artificial intelligence in UNESCO. But I also want to say that the recommendation on the ethics of AI is the pillar of these global governance discussions, but UNESCO is working on so many areas on artificial intelligence. Our colleagues in education had very good guidelines on how to integrate AI in the education system. I know from what I've heard with our director of the office, we have a digital initiative also that are being implemented in Kenya, and we want to implement it in many other countries. We have artificial intelligence on disaster risk management, artificial intelligence on culture. How do we also promote creativity, but also protecting property rights? This is something that our cultural sector is also advancing. So I come also with this representation of our Director General, because all of these areas, how do we deal with the social networks, the digital platforms is another area in which our organization is working. And all of these things are there to support you and to advance the African way, because this is exactly what we want to do. We come very humble with our knowledge, with our tools, with our capacity to call for multilateral cooperation, but we come to learn from you. We come to work for you and with you. And I think this is the most important thing. We don't come to tell people what to do, because you know better. what to do with your countries, but at least we can bring what are the best practices in the region, how we can learn from each other, and how can we deliver better for our people. So I'm very enthusiastic. This has been a fantastic experience, 2 days here in Kenya, and we hope that we will be able to deliver better service for our countries and for their citizens. So thank you so much, and looking forward for this third day of the AirFi Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this nice welcoming speech, opening speech. Now, and let me introduce myself for those who are not there before. My name is James Njogu, Acting Secretary General, Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. Well, the next speaker is Amani Abu Zaid, Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, African Union, and this will happen online. Kindly link us, the ICT people, or is it the AI people? Kindly link us.
Excellencies, senior officials from UNESCO, distinguished representatives of East Africa community, regional and international organizations, partners, and invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I am absolutely delighted to take part in this high-level segment of forum that comes timely, considering the extraordinary advances in the capabilities and use of artificial intelligence, and also for the recent endorsement by African ministers of the continental artificial intelligence strategy. I wished I was with you in person. Unfortunately, I'm held up by the commitments regarding, the preparation for the summit in July. But what can I say, except that only a few minutes before recording this message, I was with the African member states sharing the continental AI strategy and seeking the endorsement before going to the Executive Council. So you understand, I'm sure now, why I was held away from your August forum and meeting in Kenya. And in this regard, I would like to commend not only all our member states for the commitment to this AI strategy for the continent, but also for our partner UNESCO for organizing this event, and also for the leadership in advancing ethical and responsible AI across the world, not to mention the support that was extended to the African Union Commission and to my team in order to develop the strategy. The recommendation on the ethics of AI endorsed by 193 countries in 2021 represent the first global normative instrument on AI, and we see how they are guiding AI policy developments, legal and regulatory reforms to ensure AI-based systems and solutions respect, protect, and promote human rights and ensure diversity and inclusiveness. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished participants, as you know very well, AI is becoming a reality, and with an increasing number of industries and government institutions integrating this technology and the increasing number of users of AI applications. For instance, ChatGPT reached 100 million users in just 2 months and triggered global discussions on the need to regulate AI as it disrupts many traditional sectors, and raised several questions on the impact of generative AI on the economy and the society. And similar to other parts of the world, AI developments are also occurring in Africa. Countries are working on their national AI strategies. We have 7 African countries that already have AI strategy, establishing AI centers of excellence, while an increasing number of entrepreneurs and startups are specializing in AI and proposing innovative AI-enabled products and applications. Some statistics mention 2,400 organizations working on AI innovation in Africa, 41% of which are startups operating in various industries, including health, agriculture, education, law, and insurance. Today, I even mentioned it to our member states. I read that 27% of Kenyans already use Chat GPT. At continental level, after developing a conceptual framework in 2023, this year we are focusing, in collaboration, of course, with the regional institutions, on a strategy for the continent. And we are doing this because we believe of the power of this fantastic technology for our development. AI has potential to significantly impact the attainment of Agenda 2063 and the Sustainable Development Goals. It can stimulate economic growth by creating new industries, driving innovation, generating employment opportunities. It can also support the preservation of African languages and solve some of our most complex and urgent challenges in healthcare, in agriculture, in education, finance, public service delivery, and so much more. But also, it is not risk-free. Research and innovation AI can be accessed and repurposed for harmful or disruptive uses with significant implications for even peace and security, for democracy, for human rights. There is growing concern regarding misuse of AI technologies and systems like any other new technology, but maybe at a larger scale and a faster pace. Some of the also of the risks for us in Africa, it span into other dimensions, including environmental impact, social inequalities, democratic values, and the preservation of our cultural heritage and indigenous knowledge. AI can amplify biases and reinforce discrimination and enable maybe a different level of crimes. However, we can never be stopped by only or defined by threats and by risks. Our role, and all of us, is to harness this technology, to make sure that it works for us, to adapt it to our needs, and at the same time to develop what is needed in order to protect our citizens, to protect our sovereignty, to protect our continent, and to preserve our identities, cultural and otherwise. So I'm really happy to see that thanks to our collective work and with the support from UNECA, from UNESCO, from many other organizations, now we have a strategy that is the start for all of us, to go forward in a positive path. This AI strategy for Africa sets out the common vision and principles. It defines strategic priorities and suitable actions to lay foundation for AI adoption across our continent. It also aims at addressing the societal, ethical, and legal challenges associated with AI that may affect our continent, and also to maximize the benefits at all levels. Adapting AI to local African realities is critical. AI systems should be able to reflect our identity with our rich diversity, languages, cultural heritage, racial and geographic contexts. And we aim to create an inclusive African AI ecosystem that is responsive to our needs, that provides us with solutions to our problems. And this is our shared responsibility to prepare Africa, to make it ready for an AI era. I take this opportunity to again emphasize the importance of a strategy which I hope will be now, after this due process, will be adopted in the next summit in July, but to invite all of us, to own the strategy, to actively participate in the implementation of the strategy, and to collectively harness the potential of AI to transform our countries and our continent. As I conclude, I commend Kenya for hosting this important forum, as with this kind of gathering that we can explore how to advance AI in Africa while protecting the public and social interests of our people and our countries. I wish you very good deliberations. I wish you also excellent time in Kenya, and I hope to see you soon to discuss not only AI, but many other things. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. Once more, let us applaud Amani Abou Zaid for her speech. Now, I wish to kindly invite our hosts and the host of this wonderful meeting that started on Monday, the host for the various ministers present, Honorable Ezekiel Machogu, the Cabinet Secretary for Education. Let us welcome with applause once more. Karibu sana Wasiri.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. Good morning, all of you. Good morning. Yeah, thank you very much, Your Excellencies, colleague ministers from the various countries in the region, the Assistant Director General, Madam, who is here with us, and the representatives of the intergovernmental organizations present here, our development partners, and my friend, the Ambassador Ngure, and the Acting Director General, UNESCO Kenya, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to have this opportunity to speak to you this morning. At the outset, I wish to thank UNESCO and our other partners for the support that has made this forum possible. I also wish to take this opportunity to thank all of you for finding time to travel and attend this forum. This forum is an important gathering. It presents us with yet another opportunity to reflect on the place of artificial intelligence in our societies, countries, and the region. Through this forum, we are building on previous conversations that we have had on different facets of AI and expressed in our socio-political and economic ecosystem. We have the opportunity to share experiences, evaluate the progress we have made, and identify the challenges we have faced, while also mapping out the way forward. The theme of this forum, which is Harnessing Artificial Intelligence for Sustainable Development in Eastern Africa, Governance, Ethics, Capacities, and Partnerships, could not be more relevant and timely. We, as the countries of Eastern Africa, are indeed at that stage where the questions that we face on a day-to-day basis concern governance, ethics, capacities, and the partnerships in the use of AI for sustainable development. It is indeed appropriate that we are gathered here as a sub-region. I say this because the levels of integration of AI in various parts of the world are different. The implications of AI in various parts of the world will also be different because of the differences in the pre-existing socio-political and economic conditions. When we congregate here at the sub-regional level, we are able to pay attention to our unique circumstances and to develop tailor-made strategies and the solutions, the opportunities, and the challenges of AI. Ladies and gentlemen, In the education sector, for example, AI presents us with the opportunity to streamline administrative processes, personalize learning experiences, foster interactive environments, and provide valuable data-driven insights. This would ultimately contribute to a more efficient, adaptive, and student-centered educational landscape. AI has the remarkable ability to tailor educational experiences to the individual needs of each learner, thereby promoting the much-needed equity and inclusivity as provided for in the Sustainable Development Goal 4, SDG 4. One of the most spoken about promises of AI is its potential to bridge educational gaps. In remote and underdeserved areas, AI platforms can deliver quality education where traditional resources are scarce. By leveraging on AI, we can make education more accessible and inclusive, reaching learners who were previously left out of the education system. This is particularly important given that it has been noted that 244 million children and youth are out of school, and more than 770 million people are non-literate. The use of AI in education brings the benefit of data management. By analyzing huge volumes of data on education, AI can help us understand what works and what does not. This will help us in making appropriate policy decisions through an evidence-based approach. The ability of AI to synthesize large amounts of information for research also has the potential to enhance the learning experience and drive innovation. Because of this potential, we in Kenya are already putting in place strategies to harness the power of AI for enhanced learning, innovation, and inclusivity. At the basic education level, the integration of AI in the Kenya basic education curriculum framework focuses on developing essential digital skills among learners while adhering to ethical standards to ensure a fair, inclusive, and transparent educational environment. The Kenya National Examination Council has also begun exploring the use of AI in developing and administering national examinations. In our tertiary education subsector, there is progressive uptake of AI by our universities in areas such as machine and deep learning, generative AI, data science, and computer vision. Even as we integrate AI in the education system of our respective countries, it is critical that we address the issues of governance, ethics, capacities, and partnerships. There are pertinent concerns, for example, in the education sector that must be addressed. We have to identify the current and potential challenges of AI and determine how we will face them through appropriate governance and ethical frameworks. A key proposition, however, has to be that the governance and ethical framework that we have in place must be informed by our research and understanding of the current state of AI in our countries. We must be careful, especially in the education sector, against ignoring the known and potential risks of AI. We should ensure that there are adequate checks and balances so that we are sure of what we are introducing our young ones to. As we are all aware, AI, like many other technologies, can propagate certain worldviews at the expense of others. It can reinforce existing biases and promote discrimination. We therefore need to put in place frameworks that establish appropriate cultural and social suitability checks and vetting for the AI systems that we deploy to our schools. At the same time, we have to think about the potential impact of AI on existing inequities and inequalities, including the digital divide both between and within countries in education. The governance and the ethical framework that we, the forum, must be geared towards achieving equity and not entrenching inequalities. We also must think about the role of the teacher, even as we contemplate the advantages of increasing automation in the education sector. I have no doubt that we could agree on the centrality of the teacher in any running process. Therefore, the framework within which we govern AI in our education systems should ideally be for complementing, not replacing the teacher in our schools. The achievement of such a heuristic and effective governance and ethical framework for AI requires the involvement of various actors. Therefore, a multi-stakeholder approach has to be embraced. It is indeed befitting that at this gathering, we have ministers of education and ICT and other stakeholders that will collectively and cooperatively shape the integration of AI in the education systems of their respective countries. Ladies and gentlemen, happily, we are not starting from nothing. Good progress has already been made at the global, regional, and domestic levels from which we can make further progress. UNESCO has done a great and commendable job in developing the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence. The African Union is in the process of developing the continental AI strategy for Africa. The strategy will facilitate the region to leverage potential benefits of AI for African social and economic development, as well as establish legal and regulatory safeguards needed to protect users and societies at large. This strategy should set us on a path to building capabilities and capacities in AI skills, research and development, and the governance, as well as in ensuring regional and international cooperation and coordination on this fast-moving and disruptive technology. Through this and other initiatives, we will have a roadmap for preparing our citizens for a future where AI will be prevalent. We have to equip our citizens with the skills needed to thrive in this new and evolutionary landscape. These skills are not only technical, such as coding and data analysis, but also socio-emotional competencies, such as critical thinking, creativity, and ethical reasoning. Let me say, in conclusion, that the integration of AI in all sectors is not just an opportunity, it is an imperative. It is upon us to now work collaboratively, domestically, regionally, and internationally to ensure that AI serves as a force for sustainable development in our world. Thank you very much, and God bless you, God bless us all, and God bless Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bwana Waziri. Even before you leave, I'll again invite you to come here. We'll have a session. Madam Ramos, also come here. I also want witnesses. This will be the handing over of readiness assessment report for Kenya. I think that's the best place to take. I wish also to welcome Alexander Makarigagis, Daktari, the Director, Regional Office for Africa. You need to be witness. I'll also join to witness as National Commission for UNESCO. We witness this report. Hugh Gata. Here you are.
Come over for
the man behind the scenes.
It has to be unveiled. It's a ceremony, so please. Let us applaud for that as we appreciate the report. A methodology was developed and it was intense. As you heard from the CS, the minister's speech, it took a lot of time to have it done. This is the Kenyan report. A few countries have undertaken their readiness assessment. Perhaps, Madam ADG, you may say one word or two about it.
Well, as I said, we develop a survey that includes not only infrastructures, skills, investments, but it also includes cultural issues, it includes legal issues, institutional issues on the governance, and includes also societal perspectives. And therefore, we have a very clear idea of where Kenya is in all of these rounds. As I said, ICT, super strong, number 24 in the world. Exporter, very strong exporter on ICT services. Clear leadership. We need leadership, ambition of where the government wants to go with this revolution. The question of enabling startups, fintech, super strong. But then the challenges, as you mentioned, Minister, the question of skills, the question of infrastructure, the question also of developing who is in charge. What do we do if something goes wrong? Who is to blame? It's not an algorithm. It's an institution that needs to have the legal and the ethical frameworks. But I think very well placed, very nice picture, and then to move it forward towards implementation. The first one in the region, Kenya. And then, of course, we will have 22 that are coming. You remember we were here with Ethiopia, Tanzania, Mauritius, and then on the other side, we are also going to work with Senegal, Mozambique, South Africa, Namibia. So, but this is the first one, so you may be very proud, Minister.
Thank you very much.
And by the way, thank you so much for the teams. I want to thank Hugues also, David and Rodney, and you might think that we have like 45 people. No, Alex has few that are highly effective.
Thank you very much. Let us again applaud our CS for leading the process and being the first in Africa to have the readiness assessment report. I am sure he has one word or two, Bwana Waziri. I hand the mic to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are all aware where technology is now, and that is something we cannot be able to escape. That's where we are, the era of AI. And I'm happy that this readiness assessment report has been made, and I assure you that as Kenya, we will be able to make and take the best steps forward so that we are not left behind when the rest of the world is moving forward. So this will form the basis of us making decisions and moving forward in the various aspects and in the various sectors. So thank you very much, UNESCO. We appreciate you, we are proud of you, and really what we have done is good, and we are happy that Kenya, as usual, we are always ahead, and we will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Waziri. Let us applaud that as I welcome the ministers to come to the front for us to proceed with the next session. This is a big achievement. Thank you very much. Now, I welcome you, Madam Ramos, now to take the floor. Waziri, Karibu, we wouldn't let you go back here. It's a panelist. We are having the high-level panelists. Our moderator, is it? Sorry, I'm reminded there is a presentation of report, Madam Ramos. There is a report to be presented. Take a seat back there. Minister, sorry, you can take a seat. There is a report to highlight the progress we have made so far. And then after that, we'll have the panelists.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Njogu. Thank you, honorable guests. Thank you for actually affirming the pace at which we are moving, not only as Kenya, but as the region. We will give you a brief recap, Honorable Minister, honorable guests, on what we have been doing in the last 2 days. And so I would welcome the team to have a 2-minute video that captures what we have been doing. Please go ahead.
Today, we are here at the Age Convention Center in Nairobi, where the biggest Eastern Africa's AI Forum is happening. Ministers, AI experts, and industry leaders are discussing on how AI can leapfrog East Africa's economy.
We're very pleased to be here in the Regional Forum on the Ethics of Artificial Intelligence, the EAR5, Eastern African countries, because we did not only came with the implementation plan of the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence and the diagnostics that we are doing for countries to know where they are in their capacities to steer the technological developments in an ethical manner, but we were also able to establish contact with the government, with the civil society, with the business sector, with the media, and we found a very vibrant ecosystem.
It's upon African to really engage in matters of ethics of AI, developing it, and in areas of use that will not impact negatively on humanity, respecting the human rights, especially with regard to privacy, respecting all aspects of also including the environment and everything that needs to be preserved.
We'll see how the public sector now can capitalize on artificial intelligence and be able to manage to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and the Africa 2063 agenda. But at the same time, we will look at the applications of artificial intelligence on the creative industry and other sectors of life where we can have some benefits being withdrawn from the use of artificial intelligence.
This country is among the few countries on the continent that have a very detailed AI strategy. Of course, we will be comparing it with the recently launched AI strategy for Africa by Africa Union, and the Ministry of ICT and Digital Economy has worked full throttle to make sure that we have the relevant policies and guidelines.
AI is here to stay, so we have an opportunity to upscale ourselves, learn new skills on computing, data analytics, so that we can be part of the future and the current.
Thank you. And indeed, AI is here to stay. Thank you. What a wonderful space we've had. And now welcoming our conference moderator, Dr. Sylvia Sindoli, who is a lecturer and research consultant and the deputy director at the Institute of Open and Distance E-Learning, to take us through what has been captured from the time we opened our conference to this point. Welcome, Dr. Sindoli.
Thank you so much, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, Education in Kenya, Dr. Ezekiel Machogu, ministers from the region, ADG UNESCO, distinguished guests, good morning. My name is Dr. Sylvia Zindoli, and allow me to take you through the overview of East African Sub-Regional Forum on Artificial Intelligence. This forum builds on the previous fora organized by UNESCO to place the spotlight on AI, and the UNESCO Forum on Artificial Intelligence in Africa began in Morocco in 2018, followed in South Africa Sub-Regional Forum on Artificial Intelligence in Namibia in 2022. Then the second Global Forum on the Ethics of Artificial Intelligence in Slovenia in 2024. The aims of the forum is to stimulate discourse on the AI governance within the East African sub-region in order to support the development and use of universally agreed standards and ethical guidelines for responsible AI. Day one, on Monday, 24th June, we had the opening ceremony of the expert segment with participation of AG Secretary General of the NATCOM and the Ambassador, the Permanent Delegate of Kenya to UNESCO, Ms. Gabriela Ramos, UNESCO ADG, and representative of the Kenya PS Education and ICT. The keynote address was given by Ambassador Philip Thingo, Special Envoy of Technology Advisor on Data and Open Government. Okay. Key discussion from the first session, number one, relevance of the UNESCO Readiness Assessment Methodology, RAM, UNESCO flagship tool to guide member states for a better understanding of the institutional, governance, and regulatory gaps, including tailor-made support from UNESCO, and Kenya is the first country in East Africa to complete the RAM. The role of AI in training, upskilling, reskilling, and equipping young people with the need competences, building safe, secure, inclusive, and trusted digital future through inclusive collaboration, mitigating risks, enhancing trust, ethical competition, and setting global standards. There is a selected quote from Ms. Gabriela Ramos: "To walk the talk, East African Sub-Regional Forum on Artificial Intelligence is a key opportunity for us to make Africa voices heard in every crowded space on AI governance." Session 2 was about AI policies and strategies, perspectives from East Africa. This session examined the strategies and the frameworks developed in East Africa and beyond to build AI capabilities and benefits from the rapid development of AI in inclusive and sustainable manner to leverage AI for SDGs and AU Agenda for 2063. The key recommendation: policymakers should develop policies and mechanisms to identify data commons and ensure data sharing between different sectors. Academic and educational institutions should reform their curriculums in light of new AI developments, especially to include social and ethical aspects of AI which are not traditionally mainstreamed in computer science or IT programs. Session 3, Artificial Intelligence, Leadership and Application in East Africa. The session explored the importance of AI application in East Africa and discussed examples of AI-powered activities in region. The first key recommendation given is that AI's lasting impact, it is crucial for the public and private sector to collaborate on fostering AI's cultural and economic development. Involve social scientists or bioethics in AI development to improve the integration of ethical viewpoints. Integrating AI into our cultural experiences is important, but it's equally crucial to incorporate culture into AI development. And a very key quote from Mr. Kennedy Olango, Senior Solution Director, Huawei Cloud Kenya, is that AI is here to stay. The public and private sectors have to collaborate when it comes to the cultural and economic development of AI. Session 4 was on artificial intelligence and human capabilities, development through education. This session explore the need for education system in East African countries to adapt to challenges posed by AI and new technologies in terms of skilling, reskilling, and upskilling to match the 21st century competences, research capabilities, and partnership needs. And key recommendations, one was academia should play a crucial role in capacity building and active role in research that will feed into policies and strategies. Decisions on AI to be in tandem with energy demand. AI education and digital literacy should not be limited to universities. It should start in high schools and lower levels. Advocate for an inclusive AI curriculum that is applicable for all students, incorporating local cultures and languages. And a key quote from Dr. Rofesh is that AI is an enabler and it cuts across all sectors. We all need to have life skills and ability to learning and learning of AI. Then there is a side event that ended the day. A key recommendation from the side event of Women for Ethical AI Networking session was that mentors should have a clear succession path to promote high STEM uptake among women, supported by incentives to increase their participation. Women should also be involved in policy making, and the education system should avoid stereotyping and support women in STEM-related courses. And lastly on that, networking across various technology fields is vital to foster collaboration, and efforts should focus on creating an inclusive society in digital transformation. So that brought us to the end of day one. Day two, Session 5 was on leading in the digital era. How can public sector's leaders leverage AI for the SDGs and for AU Agenda 2063? This session aimed at understanding the context in East Africa with respect to strengthening the public sector's abilities to effectively use digital tools, develop and implement digital transformation projects, and tackle complex governance challenges. Recommendation one is that engaging parliamentarians through education and advocacy is essential to promote ethical AI use and ensure effective governance. AI should not discriminate against the silenced populace and underserving groups such as refugees and persons with disability. Invest in and strengthen education systems that integrate AI education, ensuring young people are equipped with the necessary skills and knowledge to succeed in an AI-driven world. Governments should enhance data collection practices to ensure that data is effectively utilized for AI development, addressing specific societal needs and challenges. And a key quotation from Honorable Nema from Tanzania is that data is money. African countries are prone to being abused by multinationals, which collect our data freely, and when it is needed by us, we are required to pay for it. Session 6 is on maximizing AI benefits for social economic development and cultural renaissance in East Africa. This session delved into the foundation elements crucial for the development of people-centric AI framework in East Africa, drawing upon the region's inherent strengths such as its diverse educational landscape, rich cultural heritage, and the creative industries, women and girls' empowerment, and the dynamism of its youth. Now, from this forum, the key recommendation this session is that the need for professionals to equip themselves with the skills to do their jobs, incorporating the advancements in technology and AI, leveraging on the predominantly oral nature of African languages. AI research should prioritize audio-based technologies to capitalize on existing linguistic resources. The need to map African languages into clusters, core languages that share structural similarities in order to make AI operate translation and adaptation more feasible by focusing on lexicon changes. And then another recommendation still on, is that ensure that African values and cultures are embedded in AI by integrating diverse African languages and technology, reducing biases and fostering inclusivity. First, professionals should learn to use AI in order not to lose their jobs to other professionals that increase their productivity through AI. And a selected quote from Professor Kimani Njogu is that AI provides both an opportunity as well as a challenge to us. The Partnership Forum on Strategic Multi-Stakeholder Partnership for AI in East Africa had two segments. The first segment was on enhancing partnership, needs and opportunities to advance AI development, adoption and use. And the second segment was on a perspective from the UNESCO Business Council for Ethical AI. Two main recommendations that it promotes equitable partnership with global institutions for culturally appropriate AI solutions in Africa, and integrate AI curricula into vocational training programs and utilize online platforms for rural training. And a key quote from Dr. Peggy is that as Africans, we need to have the integrity through respect when sharing knowledge. And that is the highlight for the 2 days. The report is huge and wide, but those are the key highlights. Thank you so much.
Dr. Sylvia, another round of applause to Dr. Sylvia and to the rapporteuring team capturing all that we discussed in the last 2 days. May I now welcome Ms. Gabriela Ramos for this high-level conversation that marks the day today. And just to let you know, dear delegates, that we will run right through the program today so that we are able to wrap up slightly early. Welcome, Ms. Ramos, as you welcome your panel.
I have the honor to please call ministers, Minister Ezequiel, Education, and the ministers that are with us of Seychelles, Comoros, Uganda, and Somalia. This is the highlight of the forum, because we have been, as we've heard on the summaries of the 2 days discussion, a lot of very good recommendations, a lot of very good analysis. But now we are going to hear from those leaders that are in charge of implementing the artificial intelligence plans and strategies. So I'm very glad to welcome you, ministers, and to have this conversation that I understand will last. How long do we have? 60 minutes. Okay. So I'm glad to introduce, as we have heard, we have, of course, our host, the Minister of Education of Kenya, but we also have the Minister of Kamalitini Swef, the Minister of Post and Communications and the Digital Economy of Comoros. Welcome. We have, I see, Chris Bariomunsi, the Minister of ICT of a National Guidance of Uganda. We have also Minister Ahmed Osman Dirie, I hope I pronounced it well, State Minister, Communication and Information Technology, member of the Federal Parliament of Somalia. And last but not least, we have Mr. Justin Valentin, Minister of Education of Seychelles. And we're very glad to have you here because you have heard the conversation that is happening. You have heard how much is not only about being sure that artificial intelligence and all of the benefits that come with it, as the Minister of Education mentioned this morning, is the question of how do we use these analytical capacities to improve what we do in general, in our economy, in our societies, but also we are learning how to govern it. And this is the core of the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence. What kind of ethical frameworks, what kind of governance instruments, what kind of strategies, because at the end, we know that these technologies are not easy to master, they're very fast. It's not only the pervasive nature and the fact that it's not only a sector, it's not only the ICT sector, but it's also the developments that are impacting labor markets, impacting education, impacting every single process and every single interaction. So I would like to ask you, ministers, to share with the audience first how you are in really trying to frame these developments in a way that suit the needs of your countries. Where do you think that they are already benefiting your countries to achieve the SDGs, because this is what this is all about. But more importantly, how you are organizing the thinking and making this technological revolution much more inclusive. I will start with the host, and then we go in this order. And each one of you have 4 minutes. Please stick to the time.
Yeah, thank you very much. As we are aware, we are on the 4th industrial revolution. And in this 4th industrial revolution, the major aspect that we now have is AI. We have the matter of robotics and all that. In Africa and in Kenya in particular, you know, when the rest of the world has been kind of on this topic, we also don't want to be left behind. And that's why the first thing we have been able to do and trying to do is to develop the necessary infrastructure, internet, the digital superhighway, and also trying to come up with the necessary reforms in our education system, and particularly to align the curriculum so that from the lower level, we are able to expose our young children right from basic educational institutions into digital literacy. We are now coming up with the coding, data management, which is also a very critical area, so that we are able to eventually and progressively develop the required manpower, the required skills in this very, very critical area. Because as we are aware, this AI offers a lot of benefits. And it is, of course, going to determine the kind of socio-economic development. It will trigger a lot of benefits, and we can only be able to benefit out of it once we expose and get the people with the kind of relevant information and the skills required. And that's why we have said each and every level, not only our universities, but all our tertiary institutions, and even the lower level, we have to start it there so that in due course, we are in tune and we are properly aligned with the rest of the countries. So we are on course, and particularly in education, we have also said is something that we will be able to intertwine in a way that as much as we incorporate it, the centrality of the teacher can also not be totally ignored. So Kenya, we are on it, and each and every sector now, may it be in industry, may it be in finance, May it be in agriculture, it is a discussion and an area that is creating interest, seeing how we can be able to incorporate, and even in our policy, is one of the areas that we are seriously taking forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Indeed, this requires all the actors to come together. I really appreciate your coming, and also in the morning, Minister, because you are in charge of education, which is really the core of being prepared for this revolution. I appreciated your reflection about how much, of course, we need maths, we need all the subjects that we usually go forward in education, but we also need critical thinking, and we also need the socio-emotional skills that you mentioned. This is something that we are advancing in UNESCO. This is not a technological conversation. It's a societal one, because at the end, it's us humans that are going to be deciding how to implement these technologies to our own benefit. So now I give the floor to Minister Swef. Comoros, please.
Thank you, Gabriela. First of all, I'd like honorable ministers, representative of UNESCO, distinguished delegates. So all of you, I'd like to forward to you the best regards from Comoros, especially from the government and from the people of Comoros. And I'll take this opportunity, first of all, to thank UNESCO for this invitation and the whole organization of this big event, and also to thank the government of Kenya, especially the Commission, UNESCO Commission, for the warm welcome and the all host that we got from our coming at the airport. And as you know, all this is organized under UNESCO. And UNESCO is based in Paris. And Paris, I think we should honor the French today, because I don't think that much people speak French. We speak French, so I'll take this opportunity to honor UNESCO based in France and continue my speaking in French. And also Comoros is among the 2 or 3 countries in this area, Eastern Africa, which are speaking French. So please.
You have translators in your desks, ministers, and you also have translators, so we can listen to the minister.
Ok, merci beaucoup. Je disais tout à l'heure que j'allais continuer en français pour les raisons que je viens d'évoquer. Donc, tout d'abord, merci beaucoup par rapport à l'organisation de cette importante réunion, parce que, comme vous le savez, l'intelligence artificielle aujourd'hui est plus qu'important, c'est vital. Les données aujourd'hui et leur gestion, c'est un peu l'eau et l'oxygène que nous respirons. Donc, voir qu'aujourd'hui, nous sommes ensemble pour voir comment mettre en œuvre une stratégie pour le développement et le suivi et la gestion de l'intelligence artificielle au niveau de nos régions. Certes, cela découle des objectifs de développement durable des Nations Unies, comme ça a été dit tout à l'heure. Ça ne concerne pas seulement un aspect technique, mais aussi un aspect tout à fait social et beaucoup plus humanitaire. Et aussi, ça découle aussi de l'agenda de l'Union africaine à l'horizon 2063. Donc, par rapport à cela, comme vous le savez, les pays ne sont pas tous au même niveau, ni au même degré de développement.
Which is a bit has a framework a bit different from other countries. Our basic foundations remain the same, that we should not leave anybody behind. So every efforts towards AI has to be in an inclusive manner, and that is why as we said, Comoros Island is composed of many islands, and so we have to make sure that everybody can access this wherever they are. So what we started with a legal framework that we've worked on it, and we're trying to finalize our national strategy on artificial intelligence. The second thing is on infrastructure. Madam Ramos said it well, that infrastructure is what will help us, the countries like Comoros Islands, to connect itself, because we are far from other countries, and also make sure that everybody is connected wherever they find themselves. So the Comoros Islands has invested itself quite much with this, thanks to our partners, and I'll give you some figures of the efforts that we have achieved so far. Today we have 98%, 98.2% of our population are connected on the telephone, and 98% of our population is connected to the and 56% are using 4G, and 3% of our population have computers, and we have fiber optic at 100% on all the islands that we have, and so we call it inter and il. So we have the backbone, and we have the fiber optic at all the 100% of our territory. We have submarine cables that connects us with the rest of the world, and grace to this, we have our capacity has been improved, enhanced by 20 times, and so this helps us to. What we're working now is on the sovereignty on data, because for now we know only 1% of the data centers are found in Africa. So this is one of the challenges that we do have, because we have to make sure that you see all the data that we have is the oxygen and the water that we're going to be using, and so we have to be have the sovereignty over our own data. 1% is very low. So I wanted to say that in Africa we have Comoros, we have a data center that we are putting in place, and on the ranking that in Africa we are at 25th level on the usage of technology and ICT. So what we need now is the human capital, to enhance the human capital. As the minister said, we have to have an institution that is looking at the curriculum, at the program, at all level, from primary to the university level, because the greatest asset that we have is the human capital. Thank you very much, Minister.
Parce que ça, c'est un message.
Because it's a good message that we should not only speak in English.
Mais à la fin, c'est très important de nous rendre compte que
very important to know that two countries, United States and China, is producing about 80%. And so the question of inclusion that you have mentioned about is a message that I've been hearing throughout when we have the conference. The countries are asking us to not only be receivers, consumers, users of artificial intelligence, intelligence, but also we need to be the developers, and that is the most important goal with all the institutions that we have and the connections and connectivities. We can move forth like that. Let me give now the floor to Chris Bariamunti, Minister from Uganda, that he may share with us how is Uganda managing this challenge, institutionally speaking, as we have heard other ministers speak, but also in which area should we make more effort for AI to support us in our development program. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. I also want to appreciate the government of Kenya and UNESCO and all the partners for this arrangement, and we are happy to be here, and thank you for inviting us as Uganda. Like my colleague, the Cabinet Secretary for Kenya said, we are speaking of the fourth industrial revolution, meaning that we have had the first, the second, the third. And what is clear is that Africa has always lagged behind in these revolutions. We try to catch up with the rest of the world. And the technological revolution is moving fast. And therefore, it requires us not only to move fast, but to run in order to catch up with how fast the revolution is moving. Secondly, when you look at the population structure of Africa, Africa is young. We have a huge segment of young people, of the population being young people, and they have embraced technology. So the question is, how do we utilize technology for development? In Uganda, a specific ministry for ICT was established about 15 years ago, specifically with the key mandate of facilitating digital transformation. And a lot of things are happening. We have a digital transformation roadmap that spells out key areas like digital infrastructure, and we are investing a lot in building the digital infrastructure. We are looking at things like digital literacy and skilling, issues of data protection and privacy, issues of cybersecurity, issues of business process outsourcing and entrepreneurship, and how do we use the ICTs to create job and employment opportunities for the young people, and many other areas. In terms of AI, I wouldn't say we are far. I am impressed with the work that UNESCO is doing together with the government of Kenya. I was happy to see a report being handed over. We would like also to have a similar assessment in Uganda so that we assess where we are in terms of capacity, in terms of the legal framework, in terms of the human resource, the infrastructure. So in terms of integrating artificial intelligence, I would say we are still underground. We have not made a lot of progress. But the thinking is high. We have very deep thoughts now on how do we come up with a policy, with a legal framework to address the AI, and how do we integrate it in the day-to-day lives. And we would want to welcome UNESCO and other partners to work with us as the government of Uganda to see how AI can be a reality. Because where we are now, integrating technology is an imperative. You cannot run away from it. Because we appreciate that to have efficiency and better outcomes, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in education, whether it's agriculture, whether it is in the transport and logistics, business, technology must be at the center. And there are many emerging technologies which are getting on board: artificial intelligence, robotics, data analytics, nanotechnology, and all these wouldn't want to see them as textbook words, but would want to see how to integrate them in our day-to-day activities as governments, as people of Uganda. And therefore, we are happy to be here. We are doing a lot of work, but we need to do much more work in appreciating and integrating artificial intelligence within the work that we do. And it calls for partnership and collaboration. We need to learn from each other. If there are countries, if there are communities which have made some steps, then we need to draw lessons from them so that it becomes easier for us to move faster. And therefore, having organized this meeting where we come and share our thoughts, we want to greatly appreciate as the people of Uganda. And we look forward to learning from all of you to see how we can grab this opportunity and run with it and ensure that AI becomes part and parcel of the work that we do. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister. And of course, on behalf of UNESCO, it's music to our ears to listen to the ministers that are calling on us to support, because that's what we will do. Our objective is that all of the countries represented here and the countries with whom we work have their own readiness assessment methodology. You mentioned it, every single country are doing their homework in terms of thinking about the institutional setting, the deployment of these technologies in certain areas. But the reality is that while we are here, and you hear about other countries doing things, thinking about best practices, the data center in Comoros, the question of how Kenya is exporting ICT and developing fintech, all of these things are always ideas and exchanges, and I'm sure Uganda has best practices that can also share. So that's what we are aiming at. So count on that. In this forum, I want to tell you, we launched the African chapter of the Business Council for the implementation of artificial intelligence. So my call to you, identify your businesses that are going to be represented there because we need their voices. We also launched the African chapter of the Women for Ethical AI. You have amazing experts, including women, and therefore this is also the case. So also come forward with your own suggestions. We will be happy to consider them. Let me now then give the floor to Minister Osman from Somalia, so he can also share with us what is going on in Somalia, how we can help, and please, Minister.
Well, thank you. Let me first say that I'm honored to join you in this gathering, and I would like to thank Kenya and UNESCO for bringing us all together in discussing this timely and important subject matter. You know, AI and technology can make the difference when it comes to overcoming the myriad challenges that we face in Africa and in our region in particular. However, in Somalia, like many other African countries, we lack the capacity to utilize AI or AI talent. And as such, AI talent is merely utilized at the private financial sector or tech sector, So when I'm saying we lack the capacity, I'm talking about the public sector. So we are now becoming aware, like many other African countries, the importance of this subject, and that we need to address it. And we are currently working on putting the necessary policy and legal frameworks in place. Somalia is part of different regional organizations, including the Arab League, and we're working with the Arab League on developing the first AI strategy in the country. Also, we're doing a lot when it comes to developing the ICT infrastructure in the country. We've recently embarked on a mission to deploy fiber links in 4,600 kilometers in the country so that we have a national backbone. You know, we have a very long coast, the longest in mainland Africa, and we have a lot of cables onshore. We need to extend that to the hinterlands, and that's what we are doing. We're also establishing the necessary institutions when it comes to the digital sector. We have recently established the Data Protection Authority, which is very important when it comes to utilizing artificial intelligence. We're also, like Comoros, building the first mega national data center in the country. So, you know, that has been the work we've been doing in Somalia, but I would say that in our region and in Africa, we need to partner with subject matter experts and organizations when it comes to AI, to not only to deploy AI, but also to develop AI talent in our region. Like other ministers said, we have a very young population in Africa. And if given the chance, you know, this young population or our youth can help us harness technology, you know, in overcoming the challenges that we face. I would also like to reiterate what my colleague just said, that we need to collaborate together, you know, as African countries and as East African countries when it comes to exchanging knowledge and expertise. You know, some of us are doing better than others, and those of us that are lagging behind need to learn from the ones that are doing well in different fronts when it comes to digital transformation. We also need to be careful when it comes to utilizing AI. We shouldn't be replicating practices from the global north. We should be, you know, utilizing it in a way that is that conforms to our context. So that's what I would like to say, and thank you.
Thank you so much. And we are hearing, as I said, very, very synergetic statements by the ministers, in the sense of not being left behind, taking action. Of course, many challenges, many gaps that need to be filled, but the question of institution, the question of infrastructure, the question of connectivity, the question of data, the data centers, all of these things I feel that bring us together to discuss it and to see how other countries are doing and how they are moving forward. So this is really good, because from my perspective, it's also giving us a lot of very good insights of where you have your priorities and where you want us to support. Minister Osman, let me tell you that actually, because of course UNESCO is global, we just approved, members approved in the General Conference last November, the opening of 2 centers on artificial intelligence in Africa. The first in Morocco, who is working for the region, also producing research and analysis, because we also need to understand the technologies. And the other one is in Saudi Arabia. So we will be working in all of these areas, not only to understand better what is the best way to address these issues, but also to put at your service the research and the analysis that can be done by these centers. Now that you mentioned the question of the Arab League, because of course we work with all the regions. Minister Vincent, over to you. Sorry, I should have said Valentin. Minister.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Gabriela. Good morning, everybody. I think all the protocols have been established. Colleague ministers, I join you all to thank, in the first instance, thank Kenya for hosting this event, fantastic event. And of course, thank UNESCO for bringing us onto this platform, for making everything possible for us to be part of this conversation. And Seychelles is most grateful for that. Well, I think the philosophical idea of why we need this conversation has been established. Let me perhaps at this stage zoom in specifically to the Seychelles context so that people in the audience will definitely see where we are. And of course, we will be able to establish the kind of collaboration we need to be looking at. In Seychelles, we look at AI in a bigger picture. So we speak of AI in terms of the National Development Plan. So we have this National Development Plan which looks at 6 major priorities: health, education, the public service, law and order, sustainable development, and of course the transformative economy. And from that, all these priorities, all these areas definitely make mention of modernization. And as soon as we engage in this conversation of modernization, we bring in AI as the center, the focus. From that National Development Plan, we of course have developed an STI strategy. We have an STI strategy from which we have also developed a digital economy plan, because the country now is talking about digital transformation, and within education specifically, we are now looking at our own plan to ensure that this digital economy agenda becomes a reality. We have lots of challenges which we want to address in the country, and all of these challenges make mention of the necessity to have a good source of intelligence for us to move forward. For instance, we have climate change as one major challenge. We have environmental conservation, the blue economy agenda, maritime safety and security, drug and substance abuse. We also have student and their achievement, student obesity. We have teacher shortages. All these challenges necessitate a conversation around intelligence, around AI. So for us, this conversation, AI is real. So it's real, and we want to make most use of it. So within the school context, because we want, when you start talking about artificial intelligence to a young kid, it looks as this is a big, it's a big topic. We want to bring this topic to the level of the student. So we start engaging them in simple concept. Why is it that, for instance, a microwave, why is a microwave works? What makes a microwave work? So we want to bring all these young minds, getting them to become small entrepreneurs, small scientists. So for us at the moment, within the school context, we are relooking at how we bring this whole concept of computer, digital agenda, AI, all at the student level so that they can relate to and, of course, develop the capacity. And then on a next level, we have our challenges in making this happen. And now this is where I welcome the idea of this assessment of readiness and preparedness, we wish to be part of that assessment as well. Because most of the time, we feel that we go round and round. Maybe it's because we have not established our readiness or our preparedness. We are not moving as we would have expected. So I really welcome this initiative by UNESCO to bring Seychelles into this picture. And my last call, as I conclude my first intervention, you see, the platform now is set, well set, for us to start to talk about regional integration. We have for a long time relied on the North-South relationship. So now this South-South relationship must become a reality. And AI, I think, is a very good agenda which will spearhead or which will catalyze this South-South relationship. And I think all the partners are in the room for making this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We, of course, yes, if you want to applaud to the fantastic ministers that have shared their wisdom in this very first round. And I cannot agree more with you. I feel that this is, as I said, is a societal conversation. We should understand the technologies. But at the end, we also need to talk to different peers in the South that probably are closer to the realities that we confront and maybe have come with some very good ideas too, as you have all, because you have all also put very interesting issues in the table. I'm also glad that you brought the question of the environment. Because again, what I'm hearing from the ministers, and of course you are the ones in charge, you know what it needs to be done. This is a question, you all said, how do we integrate the technologies for the things that I need to deliver? So it's not the technology for the technology itself. We can be in love with the technology, and actually we are, because it's just amazing, the capacities. But how do we integrate it to solve our challenges, to solve the question of jobs, to solve the question of youth, mental health issues? And then how do we ensure that this technological progress is not going against our SDGs, our climate commitments? And I'm very glad to tell you that the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence is not only the first global consensus on aligning AI with human rights, human dignity, fairness, inclusion, but it also includes an environmental chapter, because we know these big data centers that are running the generative AI are so energy consuming. It's just amazing. The water that they use to cool off the systems. There has been increases of massive use of water. The question of waste of the iPhones. And so I think that this is the ethical reflection. The ethical reflection, of course, is how do we avoid that human rights are violated, but also how do we ensure that we are going to choose those technologies that will also deliver the less carbon footprint and that are also helping us to advance our choice. So thank you for bringing this. Now, I want to, and this has really been, for me at least, and I'm sure for the public, a learning panel. We're learning from you, from your ideas, and from what the things that you're doing. Let me get into the second question that we wanted to ask you. And this is going to be just a very short answer, because we said this forum is so important because we need to have the African voices loud and clear. And again, thank you to the government of Kenya, thank you to the minister and to the ambassador and to the National Commission, to our offices here, because right now there is a global conversation of how do we organize the world and how do we organize this technological development. You know that the UN system is going to deliver the Global Digital Compact. A call has been made that Global Digital Compact relies on the infrastructure that we already have in UNESCO and ITU member states. That's very important. But the Global Digital Compact also is going to be making a very strong call on ensuring that AI is for development, first and foremost. You know that France is going to host the 3rd edition of the AI Action Summit, the first one in London, the second one in Korea, the third one here. We know that there are many platforms. The African Union has the AI strategy. So we have now almost a cacophony of voices talking about these things. And I want to ask our dear ministers, now that we are talking with Africa, for Africa, and by Africa, we want to hear from you, what will be your message to those conversations? Very importantly, we take it seriously to continue these debates and to make sure that your interest and the way you see things is well taken into account. Minister Meshogu, can we start with you? In 2 minutes, what would you tell these conversations?
Yeah, thank you very much. The message is very simple. As I said, we are on the 4th industrial revolution. When you look at Africa, indeed, we not effectively participate during the first industrial revolution, the second, and even the third. Our participation was very, very small, if anything, and even our level of development, as you see it now, is determined by what we did during those particular industrial revolutions. We are saying, in this particular 4th industrial revolution, you know, there are lessons we have learned that, yes, when we have direct technological transfer, what kind of impact and what kind of benefit will it have to Africa? So our greatest challenge even today, Madam, as you have rightly said, inequity and inequality, and we say 80% of AI is controlled by US and China. There are meetings, of course, European Union, the Asian countries. So we are here as a reawakening call. It's a wake-up call, really, to all of us, particularly African nations, that unless we take tangible measures and the tangible measures in the AI area and try to understand and take deliberate and decisive steps, again, like the first up to the third, we are again going to lag behind. So, like what you have presented to me, that is the assessment, the readiness assessment, is a document that we will be able to use and see in our conversation what is it that we have done and what is it that we require to do so that we are moving with the rest of the world. How can we be able to strengthen our engagement, our partnerships, because for sure this is something that we require partnerships with you, UNESCO, and even those other countries in order for us to effectively move forward, because we might say, yes, we are developing it on our own, but we have to have proper partnerships with those other countries that have gone ahead of us, proper collaborations, in order for us to be able to move forward. So our conversation moving forward is that, yes, we know this is very critical for sustainable development, for the socio-economic development of our countries, and even for the industrial development that we are saying that even our economies, for them to grow, we require this input, and it's critical that AI must be part of it, and that we have to look at it and incorporate it in our policies and the legal apparatus as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And count on us, because yes, the readiness assessment is meant to be of value for member states. That you have it can be a compass. We are now talking with many development cooperation partners that believe that this analysis that is standardized, that provides a very good picture, can be also an instrument for debate and cooperation, because it's very clear where are the investments that need to be made. Thank you so much, Minister. Minister Swef, à vous la parole.
Okay, thank you, Gabriela. I think the answer to your question is very, very easy. And Honorable Minister of Kenya has that, but maybe I'll go to the French because of the same reasons I mentioned before. So if you can... So je pense que la réponse par rapport à cette question est relativement facile, mais très compliquée en même temps. C'est pourquoi je voulais saisir cette occasion pour féliciter encore le gouvernement du Kenya par rapport à la préparation de ce document relatif à l'analyse de la situation sur la préparation.
The analysis and preparation moving towards AI. This is a work that, if well understood, considers all conditions, takes in consideration all conditions and factors, be it on economic, humanity, ethics, and etc., etc. And so if today we are speaking of blocs like European Union, they have already prepared their strategy. Asian countries, Madame Gabriel has just said, soon we shall have a summit in Paris. But I think that people are prepared in countries, in regions. We cannot today speak of a strategy for Africa without considering specificities of each country, be it on ethics, confession, traditions. If not, it will be the world that will, if not, things will not work. So I want to say, first of all, I want to congratulate Kenya. We need partnership if we are to move forward. And it is a new thing for many of our countries in Africa. And so we need partnerships among countries. That's why we shall run to Kenya and also have partnership with other international organizations like UNESCO. That is why we need technical support from UNESCO in order for us as a country to prepare the analysis of our matters, of our cases in terms of artificial intelligence. I was happy to hear that your group is a stakeholder in this great work, because on technical aspect, technicians can be led by the ethical and moral spirit. And so when we see great companies participating in this forum is a very good thing. And so there is need to have a bigger partnership among countries and organizations, and also with the private sector, of course, considering the positions of each country. Each country should have its own situational analysis to facilitate the preparation prior to artificial intelligence. So in Comoros and other countries, I think we need help in order to move, help from UNESCO and other countries that have moved in advance, like Kenya. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Minister. We do count on that support.
Your main message to all these global conversations.
Thank you very much. Our message is that, one, there is a huge digital divide between the global north and the global south, but even within the south-to-south collaboration. And that gap, that divide should be filled so that countries and societies that are lagging behind, i.e. sub-Saharan Africa, must be enabled to move fast so that we catch up with the rest of the world, but through respectful and meaningful partnerships. Number two, like I said earlier on, the African population is largely young, and we who are in the political leadership, we hear the voices of young people loud and clear, like what we saw here in Nairobi. They would want us to improve the quality of life of these young people and to give them a hope for the future. And we believe that technology and AI can be part of the answer, that if we integrate technology, if we embrace the positive aspects of AI, this can help us to address issues of quality of life. And therefore, all of us as countries must be prepared to ensure that technology becomes part and parcel of our programs and the interventions which we are pursuing in our different countries. Number three, as we embrace technology, we must beware of the downside of technology and AI inclusive. Issues of environment, like you raised them, issues of ethics, issues of respecting humanity, issues of cybersecurity, all those must be integrated in whatever we do. And that's why we must have specific policies, legislations, and the other measures that take into consideration the different aspects of different countries, especially within the African setting. Lastly, the future is digital. I usually tell people in Uganda that I am the minister in charge of the future of Ugandans. And therefore, we should embrace technology. We would want, for instance, technology companies to come and manufacture and assemble the gadgets, the digital devices, and all technologies here in Africa and here in East Africa, instead of us relying on importing all these gadgets from outside. They become very costly and unaffordable. So let's have a meaningful partnership where we build genuine capacity here in Africa in order for us to be part of this fourth industrial revolution and other future revolutions which are coming. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Very, very clear message. Minister Osman?
Thank you. My message will be very short. My message is that we should not leave no one behind. And to be able to do so, we should put hands together, or we should lend hands each other in moving forward together. We should also be very strategic in approaching the issue of AI. Also, UNESCO should continue keeping the discussion going. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Loud and clear. Minister Valentin?
Thank you again. My problem is that I always approach policy decision from a teaching perspective, because I believe I am a teacher by profession. I want things to be real and concrete always, so that people can see. My first message is that there was, or there is, a strong feeling in Nairobi that people want to engage meaningfully together. That's the strong message. And within the AI platform ecosystem, perhaps let us identify, although we have different countries' specificities, we have common denominators. We have common challenges. Perhaps we should identify, because when I listen to all my colleague ministers speaking, everybody wants to engage in this meaningful partnership. Perhaps let us, while we are in this room, let us identify, or perhaps afterwards, of course, let us identify one common issue that we can work together and make it real and concrete. Once we've got that project together, we will be telling the world that it is possible for us as an African team to come up with something concrete to improve people living. So I think this is my message. Let us work on a real project so that we can establish the fact and also establish the consensus that we can work together, we can solve our problem, we can identify, and at the same time have strategy to solve our problem based on within this AI ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm actually very humble because we have received very, very clear messages of partnership, of working together, of not leaving African behind, not leaving anybody behind, of inclusiveness, of addressing inequalities, but more than anything, on taking advantage of this technological revolution to increase the well-being of people, create jobs for youth, advance empowerment, advance. So it's great. This panel has been really a pleasure to moderate it. We're going to have our dear Ambassador Peter Ngore providing with the conclusions, but one of the issues, of course, once we have this effort and this amazing catalytic moment for all the things that ministers and countries want to advance, there is this possibility of establishing a cooperation mechanism linked to the RFI so that we continue the collaboration, we continue exchanging. And then I'm going to also deliver our commitment, because I've heard you loud and clear too, that we need to do readiness assessment for all our members. So I will do something that is very important. I'm going to give you the readiness assessment, the tool that is going to be the basis for the analysis for your country. So you start looking at it, and then we will be working with you. Minister, we already gave you the RAM, but let me do this for the rest of our dear ministers. But I still will give again the RAM.
Again?
Thank
you very much.
But then I will give three things. What is it? I will give three things: the recommendation, the readiness assessment methodology, and the ethical impact assessment to each one of our ministers. So here you have. Okay. So we can start working on that. This is for you, Minister. For you. And for you. With our commitment to continue working together for you and with you. So thank you so much for this fantastic session.
Thank you. And another round of applause for our honorable ministers. Thank you for the commitment. Thank you for the inspiration as we welcome Ambassador Ngure to actually talk to us on the adoption of the Nairobi Statement. Another round of applause, please. And we can rise to just stretch a bit. Dear delegates, we've been standing from morning. We could rise and just clap for our honorable ministers, making commitments, making very solid confirmations of their confirming that they are part of the AI train, and making us understand that the region is leading. Thank you very much, and welcome, Ambassador Ngure. Thank you, and have a seat. Thank you.
Honorable ministers, technical experts, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, first I'd want to express my deepest gratitude to all of you who have honored us on this last day of the forum by coming in person to witness and to listen to the distinguished ministers who have very ably articulated the ambitions and aspirations of the countries that they work for. Mine is a humble duty to give you a snapshot of what we have called the Nairobi Statement on Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies in Eastern Africa. This is a 10-page document which our ministers already have, and the technical experts have already looked at them and given inputs. And in a few minutes, I'm just going to give some key highlights on each of the pages. It won't take long. First, we acknowledge that in the preamble, this document really belongs to the ministers and higher officials in charge of education, ICT, and the digital economy, emerging technologies, communication science, and innovation from the Eastern Africa countries. The Minister for South Sudan was actually with us early in the morning, but he sent his apologies because is participating in another very critical function. We have several things that we are recognizing in the preamble. The first one is the fact that AI is transforming the world in unprecedented ways, and it has great potential to influence the future of humanity. We also are guided by the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence adopted by the UNESCO General Conference at its 41st session in 2021. This was universally accepted by the state parties. We also observe that AI has great potential to impact the youth, who constitute 60% of our population, and observe that there are significant gaps in human resource capabilities, awareness, knowledge, and skills in this emerging technology. We appreciate and hope to mitigate gender bias that is universally associated with emerging technologies. We acknowledge with pleasure and endorse the African Union Continental Strategy on AI, which was endorsed by the second extraordinary session of Specialized Technical Committee on Communication and ICT. This statement really builds on UNESCO's operational strategy for Priority Africa 2022 to 2029. In summary, there are 5 flagship programs for Africa at UNESCO that are being prioritized, and AI is one of the key programs here. We are riding on the findings and recommendations emerging from UNESCO's Readiness Assessment methodology. Congratulations to Kenya for being the first one to receive very comprehensive report there telling us about the status of AI and the future of AI in Kenya and what we need to do. We also appreciate the relevant regional frameworks and would wish to take this opportunity to congratulate the Eastern Africa countries that have proactively adopted national and sectorial AI strategies. We are grateful that this forum comes after other forums that have been managed very well across the continent, starting with Morocco in 2018, moving down to Southern Africa at Windhoek in 2022, and now here in Nairobi in 2024. Allow me to read one statement here as I transition to the 7 key recommendations here presented. We recommend this statement to advance AI and emerging technologies governance, to foster cooperation and exchanges of expertise in a multi-sector approach, and to strengthen cooperation between Eastern Africa countries and UNESCO, including through the establishment of an Eastern Africa coordination mechanism supporting the implementation of the UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of AI and the recommendations from the RAMs. Madam ADG has already reiterated UNESCO's commitment to undertake RAMs across the continent and to help us to mobilize the financial and human resources to be able to implement this. Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Nairobi Statement comprises 7 key recommendations. The first recommendation on AI and data governance has 14 points, but allow me to mention 1 or 2 just to highlight. The first one is to commit to implement and advance the recommendation on the ethics of AI provisions in Policy Area 3 on data policy through implementation of RAMs. It will be very, very important to develop knowledge in line with African ethical values aimed at understanding the social technological implications of AI in order to work with different stakeholders. It's also very important to review, update, and develop regulatory and legal frameworks to drive the AI agenda on our continent. To do this, we'd wish to facilitate policy dialogue at all levels. It has already been reinforced by our honorable ministers that we need to mitigate the digital divide, and it's very critical for us to encourage the development of standards for AI and digital technologies, as we also encourage the building of governance mechanisms for the monetization of data collected from African countries. The last point I've indicated speaks to the fact that with the data revolution, we have great opportunities to monetize, make money from the data that is owned and is collected here in Africa. On capacity building, once again, implementing the UNESCO Readiness Assessment methodology, we need to strengthen the capacities of governments, civil society, and the private sector to understand and use AI technologies and applications. We need to look at the opportunities that could be potentially affected by AI, but also underscore and appreciate the great opportunities that AI will present, especially for our youth. We need to establish and enhance the capacity of policy, regulatory, and enforcement institutions through targeted skills development and support for AI governance. On investment and infrastructure, we need overall to expand investments towards infrastructure development to address the cross-cutting issues for AI. We also need to establish, and Kenya is really leapfrogging in this area, the establishment of ICT innovation and technology hubs and incubation centers. We also need to further pilot and deploy the UNESCO Ethical Impact Assessment as an innovative tool for monitoring and evaluation of the relevance and impact of AI-powered applications and technology. For education, Honorable Ministers of Education, there are 14 different points. Allow me to say on the overall that the Ministries of Education stand to really benefit by strictly considering these 14 bullet points and how they'll be able to impact our education sector. Over to research and development, there are 7 bullets here. We are really emphasizing that we need to identify and nurture and retain AI talents and be able to do cutting-edge evidence-based research and innovation, of course, leveraging on AI. On environment and disaster risk reduction, we have 5 points. AI should be leveraged, for example, to combat climate change and preserve biodiversity. On gender, there are 4 key points. I already mentioned a major point at the preamble. And finally, on collaboration and partnerships, we have 7 points. The emphasis here is that you can not go alone and succeed in matters AI. And on the basis of this, would wish to commit to make the position of this forum, the East African Sub-Regional Forum for Artificial Intelligence, voiced in the Global Digital Compact, regularly called GDC, negotiations to happen later in the year, and ensure that the process leverages the efforts deployed by the different regions, Finally, the scope of this Nairobi statement, as you'd expect, is cross-cutting, from promotion of scientific research, technical and policy dialogues, to guiding member states in policy development and legislation, and also facilitating the ESC and IGAD's design and implementation of strategic orientations and policies on AI. Ladies and gentlemen, that is just but a synopsis of the 10-page document that I have presented to you. In order for us to really appreciate the Nairobi Statement on Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies in Eastern Africa, I want to humbly request His Excellency Dr. Justin Valentin, the Minister of Education from Seychelles, who has been with us right from day one. He didn't miss a single session, to come and make some pertinent comments on behalf of the ministers of this sub-region. Thereafter, I will humbly ask our honorable ministers to come to the podium for a photo session. They will take a photo holding a copy of the Nairobi Statement on Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Technologies in Eastern Africa. Honorable Minister from Seychelles.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. I wasn't expecting to take the podium, but being a minister, you should be always, ready at all time. Mr. Ambassador, I've said that I've been around right from day one. I would say I've been around on day zero because I was there on Sunday. So on day zero. And for me, it was really, really a privilege to be part of this conversation. I'm now trying to figure out whether I substitute, because when I came into the room, the language that I had was the digital transformation. And now this is being replaced now by AI. So I wonder whether to keep the initial terminology or to displace that by AI. But regardless, we have had some fruitful conversation right from day one. And it has been very stimulating to hear different organizations, different speakers coming to express whatever they have to express. And believe me, when I listened to what the first presenter earlier this morning, when she summarized everything, and now what Mr. Ambassador have said, really it captures the gist of the forum. So to that, I would propose a vote of thanks on behalf of my colleague ministers and of course colleague delegates. Thank you, Kenya, for hosting us. Thank you, Nairobi, for hosting us. Thank you, UNESCO, for making our trip possible. Thank you, everybody who have been engaging in the logistic in making this forum a reality. Thank you for the protocol officers and the drivers who are taking us around, making sure that we do not miss any sessions. And of course, thank you for the collaboration and the partnership that we will forge right from today. So on behalf of the colleague ministers, I would applause, everybody, and perhaps every delegate. Let us also, join hands together to thank everybody for making this conference, this forum, a big success. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you, Honorable Ambassador. We are now taking the stage for the adoption of our statement. So please join, Honorable Minister. Please join the stage. The Rapala dancers are celebrating the adoption of this important statement for our region. May I ask the government delegates to please, representing their countries, honorable dignitaries, to also come on stage. Thank you. Thank you, honorable ministers. It is indeed a great achievement for our Eastern African countries to reach an agreement of the roadmap to very feasible, impactful AI. What a wonderful adoption of an AI journey for the Eastern African region that is very fruitful for all our countries. May I ask that you hold up the document? Honorable ministers, just hold up a bit so we take a good picture. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, yes, join, dear delegates. Please join with all our countries represented. Thank you, delegates. Let's give a round of applause for all of you who have done this wonderful work. So bravo to all of you. Well done. Thank you. Thank you. Rapala dancers, amazing young dancers from our area here in Nairobi. Wonderful. Celebrating with us. Thank you. Thank you. Asanteni sana. Thank you. Asante sana, Rapala dancers. Asanteni sana. A big clap for the young Rapala dancers. Big clap, big round of applause. Wonderful. Africa, our vibrancy, our color, our traditions, always with us, even as we uphold digital technology, our traditions at the forefront. Thank you very much, dear delegates. May we give an almost last round of applause to everybody at the podium. May we please give a round of applause to everybody at the podium. Thank you, and to all of you delegates. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. Asante. Asante, our guests, our delegates. And may I now welcome Dr. Njogu to give us the very final remarks. Welcome, Dr. Njogu. Asanteni sana.
Yes. Thank you very much. We want to acknowledge Charge d'Affaires, U.S. Embassy in Kenya. We want to acknowledge the presence of Charge d'Affaires, U.S. Embassy in Kenya. Thank you very much for joining us. Now we are on the closing. We are at the edge. We'll make a few closing statements. But before that, allow me to really thank everyone for the huge participation since Monday. We thank the organizer, all committees involved, the hosts, our partners, Huawei, Geology Society of Kenya, Safaricom, among others. We thank our ministry for hosting. We thank the ministers who have come. We thank all of you. And with that, allow me to invite Madam Ramos, the ADG, to make her closing remark, and then I will invite the CS, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Education, Honorable Ezekiel Machogu, to finally make a closing speech or statement, and of course, close this wonderful forum that we have had. So, Madam Ramos, it's your chance once more to make your closing remarks.
Thank you so much, James. I have to say that this is anticlimactic. I mean, after this very emotive way of adopting the outcome document, this beautiful, beautiful cultural expressions and joy of Africa, I feel that I would just need to say thank you and leave, and that will be perfect. But more than that, I want to say, when I was listening to our dear ambassador delivering this outcome document, is so full of substance, is so full of very strategic messages. The fact that you got the region together, the ministers together, Africa, its voice, its thoughts, its way of looking at life, I would say that this really merits to be disseminated everywhere. Not only the fact that you brought us together, Minister, Ambassador, and your government, the National Commission, our office here, but also that we established this mechanism to coordinate, to discuss, because it's not that we are going to solve it in one shot. AI is evolving, and now we talk about generative AI. Tomorrow we will be talking about iterative AI, and then we will be talking, there is going to be smarter than us, and all of these things that the technology people are referring about these technologies. Therefore, I feel that this conclusion that you got today to establish this platform, to continue the debate, to continue bringing the Eastern African countries together is just amazing. But then commenting on with your minister, the question that this is a voice that needs to be heard loud and clear everywhere. As I said, for UNESCO, we are really proud that we deliver the readiness assessment methodology. We are very proud about this interest and commitment by member states to go for this assessment. We're very proud of looking at how do we advance on the investments, on the infrastructure, on the capacities, but also something that binds you together with the whole of the world. Because it doesn't matter what level of development you have, all the governments are thinking what kind of legal frameworks, what kind of institutions, what kind of capacities, what kind of investments, what kind of incentives to ensure that this technological drive delivers for people, as all of you say. So I'm really pleased with this outcome. We have many regions that are looking at what is happening today here, that want also to have these kind of changes. Minister said it, we need regional environments, we need to talk to our peers, and then we need to go out and talk to the rest of the world, and I think this is really important. From our perspective, we are very proud that we launched the Business Council with members of the African business community, that we launched the Women for Ethical AI, and I see our dear colleague from the Kenyan delegation in Paris. We already had African women, because African women are very strong in these issues, but it's great that we also recruited some additional people. And then our support on the work of the African Union Continental Strategy, and an invitation, because this needs to be, the stories need to be told. This is a story. Something is happening today here in Kenya. And therefore we need to continue telling this story of the messages we've heard, of the very concrete requests and commitments that people made here, of the fact that it needs to be multi-stakeholder, because we have, of course, the governments that are in charge, but we have the businesses, you brought the academics, you brought the experts, you brought the civil society, and this is very important. And for UNESCO, we really cannot be prouder to be this convener and this standard-setting institution that can deliver for good, because as I said, this is the most global and conceptual instrument on how do we want to run artificial intelligence. I see the US here. There was the resolution of the UN, of the General Assembly, also on artificial intelligence for development. Very pleased that we were mentioned in that resolution. But at the end, we need this global consensus to bring it forward. And in the verge of the Global Digital Compact, I think it's very important that what happened here is heard also in September in New York. Last but not least, let me just invite you tomorrow. No, it's not last. It's one before last. Tomorrow, we are going to have the UNESCO Policy Dialogue on AI in Paris. I want you all to connect, because we will be hearing results of these things. We are going to call on our AI experts without borders from all over the world. Many Africans will be there, and we will have discussions about synthetic content. We are all talking about data. The reality is that now we have synthetic data, and therefore the same issues about discrimination or biases, or how do we ensure that these technologies are inclusive, are going to be discussed there. We will have Women for Ethical AI again. We will have the institutional analysis, what institutions, and of course, very strong messages there from our colleagues. But let me then, the last message. This event, as usual, would not have been possible without the support, of course, of the government of Kenya and their teams. The presence of the ministers and the ambassador attest to that, of the National Commission, of our boss, of our office here. But I want to also say that we have the representative of the Office of Gabon with us. So I really want to ask our teams, all of our teams, to stand, because you deserve a huge, huge applause. My team, the team of Alex, the team of CI, the team of PAX. PAX is the convening because they run the Priority Africa. Could you all stand so everybody can recognize you and give a big applause? Melda, I'm calling on you. Victor, Hugues, David, Alex, you too. Everybody, big thanks. My God, as I said, it looks like if we have 40 people. We don't have 40 people. We have these fantastic committed individuals that are making UNESCO shine. Big thanks to you. Big thanks to my team, Juan Pablo, Rosana, stand so that there can be a little bit more people around. Thank you so much. And then, of course, to the government of Kenya. You have been fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Ramos, for that. Now, we go to the last stage, and we listen to our Kenyan Minister for Education as he makes the closing remarks and appreciating everyone else. Thank you. Welcome, CS.
Yeah, thank you very much. One is to sincerely thank UNESCO for organizing and making this possible, because you initiated this, and also thanking each and every participant for responding to the call, because if you also do not respond, the discussions and whatever we have had here will not have worked and will not have been possible. I think as a take-home, one is that we have to own the document because it really comprises of the discussion that you have had here from Monday until today, the document that was presented by Professor Ngure. I'm sure we were all, of course it was done in a summarized form, a synopsis of what has been discussed, but it captured almost each and every aspect and a way forward and the recommendations as to what we all have to do. Are we in agreement with that document that as ministers we have owned? Are we all in agreement? Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for that. And as a take-home for each and every one of us, having attended this very abundant conference and workshop, I think our take-home is that kindly as Sub-Saharan Africa, we have gotten the message. And the message is loud and clear. Let us not only be consumers, let us not only be receivers, let us not be spectators to what is happening in the rest of the world. This time round, in this fourth industrial revolution, let us be active participants, and there are various measures and initiatives, interventions that we have to take as governments in order for us not to be really left behind. And in this, we said we want to engage our partners actively so that we do what is right. So the take-home is that each and every one of us and our respective countries, we can influence policy, we can be able to influence what is going on, so that in a proactive manner, this time around, we find that we are somewhere, because AI is going to be the driver of socio-economic development of countries and of course, sub-Saharan Africa will not be left behind. We thank you and be with the Almighty God, and we thank you and wish you all the best. We started it all without a prayer. I thought the MC forgot that. We want to now to commit to the Almighty God. Can any one of us come and commit us to the Almighty God? One of us, to do a prayer.
Thank you. Thank you. CS, I'll lead you with a word of prayer. And before that, we'll have the ministers led by our minister to visit the Huawei stand. You will be led. Allow me also to announce that there is lunch. The VIP, you shall be directed where to go. We have the ushers to show you, and there are those who already know where we shall be going. The rest, of course, you know where lunch is served. Is it first floor? First floor, immediately. So I think that's housekeeping issues, because already the meeting has been declared closed by our CS. So let us stand up and pray.
Okay, let's pray. Father Almighty, we want to thank you because of the way you have been with us. Thank you, dear Lord, because we trusted that we would be able to organize this forum. And Father, you have worked with us from the time we began. You have delivered our participants safely to the venue. And dear Lord, we can only thank you that we have come successfully to the closure of this conference. As we take away the deliverable from this conference, we are praying that you will walk with us, even as we make those commitments, so that we make them to be. We remember our participants who will be traveling far, that you may also watch over them and give them safe journeys. In Jesus' name, we do pray and also believe. Amen.